Today we'll be discussing the poems from pages 366 to 373. The first poem is Casey at the Bat. You'll notice that the rhyme scheme is A-A-B-B, and this is a narrative poem. It tells a story. So Casey is our main character, and you can see from the poem he is very confident in his skill, but he's also extremely prideful. They mention words like haughty, which means prideful, or sneer. This is kind of like a smile, but like a prideful type of smile. And in the story, he steps up to the bat. It says the bases are loaded, which means that there are players on every base, and if he hits the ball, they all will, like if he does a really good job, they can all make it to home base, and then he can make it around, and they'll win the game, right? So everybody knows he's a good player, and they feel very confident in him, right? But he is so prideful that he lets 2 balls go by without swinging. And we find out as the story goes that he waits till the 3rd pitch, and then he swings, he misses, and he loses the game for his team. And the ending of this really goes along with the verse in Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. So if you're a very prideful person, there's a good chance that you're going to fall, right? Or something bad will happen to you. Okay, there's a simile, the crowd's response. It says, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. So the crowd is shouting so loudly it sounds like waves hitting rocks, right? Okay, some irony. This poem is full of irony. One says, a smile of Christian charity. So when he doesn't swing at the balls, the umpire says strike 1, strike 2, and the crowd is angry at the umpire. They're booing him. They're upset, and Casey kind of calms the crowd down, but he acts like, hey guys, let's be nice to the umpire. But the ironic thing is he's the one causing all this problem, right? The umpire is just doing his job. Casey's the one at fault here. So this is not charity or kindness on his part, right? He's the one causing the issues. And then another thing that is ironic, so also his whole attitude when he comes out to bat is he seems like he's acting very kind-hearted towards everyone, but he is very prideful, right? Okay, and then at the end, it's very ironic that everyone expects Casey to be the one to win the game for them, but because he's prideful, he causes them to lose, right? They thought for sure they were going to win that day. And then a little bit of hyperbole or exaggeration. Clung to the hope which springs eternal in the human breast, makes the baseball game. Okay, sorry. So clung to the hope, right? So when you say something like that, like you're clinging to this hope that springs eternal, it makes it sound like this incredibly serious thing, right? Something very, very serious, but it's really just a baseball game. So they're exaggerating the importance of this game, right? And then it says the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. So it's like he's breaking glass, right? All right, the next poem, you'll notice a theme in these poems. They're kind of all about like pride, right? And this one is about Godolphin Horn. And he's a 6-year-old boy who's born to a wealthy family, and it describes him as extremely prideful. It says he never shook your hand or bowed, merely smirked or nodded. Smirked is also kind of a type of smile when you're looking down on someone, right? And so think about this. He's only 6 years old, and he's looking down on everyone around him, right? So in this poem, they're considering him as a page for the court. And a page is a young boy, and he'll run messages, he helps serve, cleans clothes, cleans weapons, and he learns some combat, right? So you would often work for an important person, a noble person, a knight maybe, right? And it's a type of education, and it can lead you to a really great job, like a squire or knight, right? This is like the medieval days. And so it was a good thing to be considered as a page for the court, right? So all these noble people are sitting around discussing various young boys to hire as a page. And when they bring up Godolphin Horn, all of them, for one reason or other, say, no, I don't want a page if he's the choice, right? And it says, even Lady Mary Flood, so kind and oh, so really good, said, no, he wouldn't do it all. He'd make us feel a lot too small. So it's emphasizing that this woman is so nice and so kind. And even she says that she can't have him as a page, right? So he has this reputation as a really bad kid that nobody likes because he's so prideful. If somebody that nice is going to say no to him, right? And it says he'd make us feel a lot too small. So as a noble woman, a grown up, he is going to look down on her and make her feel like she's nothing, right? So a 6-year-old, this is kind of a ridiculous situation. So what do? Because of his bad reputation, they scratch his name out. So now he won't ever be considered for this job, right? He's 6 years old and he doesn't have good job prospects now. So some irony. At the beginning, it says Godolphin Horn was nobly born. Noble can mean that you're from a wealthy family that has a high status, um, or like a position in a kingdom. But it also can mean that you're kind and decent. If you say that somebody is noble, it means they're kind and decent. So even though he was born in a wealthy family, he is definitely not kind or decent. And then it says that such affected tricks should flourish in a child of 6. Affected is like artificial. So his smirks and his not being polite to people by shaking their hands, that it's kind of a shocking thing to see it in a 6-year-old, right? So again, there's a bit of irony. And then at the very end of the poem, we see what happens to him. So Godolphin is the boy who blacks the boots at the Savoy. And Savoy is a hotel in London. So instead of getting this great job that could lead him to a really good future and a high position, he ends up shining people's shoes at a hotel, right? So irony there, he's proud and now he has kind of a servant's job, not a good job. All right, a little bit of hyperbole or exaggeration. Deathly proud. It's not so proud that you're going to die, right? This is an exaggeration. And an internal rhyme. This is a rhyme within one line, right? Rather than the endings rhyming, you have a rhyme inside a line. And line number 1 says horn and born. All right, the third poem, Sir Joseph's Song. This poem seems a little bit strange and hard to understand. This was written by a man named Sir W.S. Gilbert, and it is satire or like kind of a sarcastic tone, and he is attacking an unqualified leader in the Navy. So he wrote this to attack a real person who he felt was not qualified to have the job that he had. This poem is organized into couplets, so these are pairs of rhyming lines, right? So you'll notice like the first and second lines rhyme, the third and fourth lines rhyme, and like that. And another thing you may notice is the poem uses a lot of creative spelling, like carefully and navy, right? And this adds to kind of the humorous or sarcastic tone of the poem. So as this man the poem is talking about goes through, he starts at this really low job and then he's promoted and then he works that job and then he's promoted and he's promoted. And the end of each stanza is talking about how he was the head of the Queen's Navy, right? And so it's just showing you his progression from this very lowly job up into this high position, right? And then you wonder, like, how did he do that? How did he get to this high position? But actually, he isn't qualified for any of these jobs. So he is being promoted not because of his ability, but his inability, right? He's not doing well. And you can see, like the first one says, with a smile so bland, or maybe the second stanza. This is kind of like, he's just kind of like smiling, like this just regular, very regular smile, and copying things, and then they promote him, right? So it's not like he's working super hard and doing a really great job, and they're like, wow, this guy needs a better position, right? But he's just kind of getting promoted for nothing, right? He doesn't have any kind of special skills or qualities. And then later on, he says, I never thought of thinking for myself at all. I thought so little they rewarded me. So he's not even using his brain much in thinking, but apparently they liked that, so they gave him another promotion, right? And that was when he was in Parliament. He's working in Parliament, and this is kind of a comment on politicians, like not thinking for himself, but just kind of doing what everyone tells him to do, right? And so then they promote him again because they like that. And at the very end, he mentions the golden rule. Now, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So treat other people like you want them to treat you. However, he does not mean this. He means the golden rule as in money. So, what is his motivation in doing all this? Becoming wealthy, right? And he does become wealthy as he kind of just goes through life doing the least he can do and getting promoted. He gets rich and he hasn't really contributed at all. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed these poems. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks.